James Thompson, known to those who cross his path as Jimmy, stood before a judge in Franklin County Municipal Court on March 12, 2020, facing a misdemeanor charge of trespassing. At 62, Jimmy's life had been a long journey from valor to struggle. Born in 1958 in Dayton, Ohio, he grew up in a working-class family, the son of a steelworker and a librarian. According to family records, Jimmy was a curious child, excelling in history and athletics, particularly wrestling, where he won a state championship in high school. His early years were marked by a strong sense of duty, inspired by his grandfather, a World War II veteran who shared stories of service and sacrifice. In 1976, at age 18, Jimmy enlisted in the Army, driven by a desire to serve his country during the waning years of the Cold War. According to military records, he trained as a combat medic and was deployed to Germany, where he served with distinction. In 1983, Jimmy volunteered for a covert mission in Grenada during Operation Urgent Fury, where he saved the lives of 6 wounded soldiers under heavy fire, earning the Silver Star for gallantry. His citation, later presented in court, noted his extraordinary courage and disregard for personal safety. After Grenada, Jimmy served in Panama and the First Gulf War, retiring as a staff sergeant in 1998 after 22 years of service. Post-military life was not kind to Jimmy. According to Veterans Affairs, VA records, he struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, a condition exacerbated by the loss of his wife, Emily, to cancer in 2002. The couple had no children, and Jimmy's grief led to isolation. He took odd jobs as a mechanic and security guard, but by 2010, untreated PTSD and alcoholism had taken their toll. He lost his home, drifting between shelters in the streets of Columbus. By 2019, Jimmy was a familiar figure in the city's downtown, often seen with a worn backpack, collecting cans to scrape by. Despite his circumstances, those who knew him, including shelter staff, described him as kind and respectful, always offering to help others. The incident that led to Jimmy's trial occurred on January 15, 2020. According to Columbus police reports, officers responded to a call from a convenience store owner who claimed Jimmy had refused to leave the premises after being asked. The owner alleged Jimmy was loitering, though Jimmy maintained he had been buying coffee and warming up from a winter cold. The arresting officer, unaware of Jimmy's background, charged him with criminal trespassing, a misdemeanor carrying a potential 30-day jail sentence and $250 fine. Jimmy was released on his own recognizance and assigned a public defender, Sarah Klein, a young attorney with a reputation for tenacity. Sarah met Jimmy at the Franklin County Jail, where he was briefly detained before his release. According to her case notes, Jimmy was soft-spoken but cooperative, sharing fragments of his military service when asked about his background. Sarah, sensing there was more to his story, contacted the local VA office and requested his service records. The documents revealed not only Jimmy's Silver Star, but also 2 Bronze Stars and a Purple Heart from injuries sustained in Panama. Sarah also learned that Jimmy had been honorably discharged but had fallen through the cracks of the VA system, receiving sporadic mental health support. Determined to advocate for him, Sarah prepared a defense that highlighted his service and circumstances, hoping to secure a dismissal. The trial, held before Judge Michael Reynolds, a former Army reservist, was a routine proceeding on the court's busy docket. Jimmy's case was one of dozens scheduled that morning, with the courtroom filled with attorneys, defendants, and a few spectators, including local reporters covering minor cases. Sarah presented a motion to dismiss, arguing that Jimmy's actions did not meet the legal threshold for trespassing, as he had been a paying customer. The prosecutor, David Harper, countered that Jimmy's refusal to leave constituted a violation, citing the store owner's complaint. As Judge Reynolds reviewed the case file, he paused when he read Jimmy's full name, James Edward Thompson. According to court transcripts, Reynolds asked Jimmy to confirm his identity and military service, a standard question in cases involving veterans. Jimmy, standing humbly in a borrowed suit, replied, "Yes, sir. I served in the Army 1976 to 1998, Staff Sergeant, Combat Medic." Reynolds, visibly intrigued, asked if he was the same James Thompson who served in Grenada. Jimmy nodded, adding, "I did what I could for my men, sir." The judge, familiar with military history, recalled a story from his own service about a medic who braved gunfire to save lives in Grenada. He requested Jimmy's service record, which Sarah promptly provided. The records confirmed Jimmy's heroic actions, including details of his Silver Star citation. Reynolds, moved by the revelation, shared a summary with the courtroom, reading aloud the citation's description of Jimmy's courage. According to those present, the judge's voice carried a tone of reverence as he recounted how Jimmy carried wounded soldiers to safety while under attack. Without prompting, the courtroom, attorneys, bailiffs, spectators, and even Harper, stood in unison, a rare gesture of respect. Jimmy, overwhelmed, lowered his head, unaccustomed to such recognition. Reynolds dismissed the charges, citing insufficient evidence and Jimmy's exemplary service. He went further, addressing the courtroom about the need to support veterans like Jimmy, who had sacrificed so much. According to the transcript, Reynolds stated, "This man is a hero, and we failed him if he's standing here for buying a coffee." The judge referred Jimmy to the Veterans Treatment Court, a program designed to address underlying issues like PTSD and homelessness, and ordered the county to expedite his access to VA benefits. The moment resonated beyond the courtroom. A reporter from the Columbus Dispatch, present for the trial, published a front-page story titled "Hero Honored: Veterans' Past Shines in Court." The article detailed Jimmy's service and the courtroom's reaction, going viral online. Social media platforms, including Twitter and Facebook, amplified the story, with thousands sharing posts about the need to support homeless veterans. The hashtag Honor Jimmy Thompson trended for days, drawing attention from veterans organizations like the American Legion and Disabled American Veterans. The public outcry led to immediate action. According to VA records, Jimmy was enrolled in a comprehensive treatment program within a week, receiving mental health counseling and housing assistance. A local charity, Veterans Matter, provided him with a furnished apartment, while a crowdfunding campaign raised $45,000 to cover his living expenses. Jimmy, initially reluctant to accept help, was persuaded by Sarah, who became a trusted advocate. She connected him with a caseworker, Linda Martinez, who ensured he received ongoing support for his PTSD and addiction recovery. The store owner, embarrassed by the media attention, issued a public apology, admitting he had overreacted. According to a follow-up report, he donated $1,000 to a veterans shelter and invited Jimmy back to the store, where he was treated as a valued customer. Jimmy, true to his character, forgave the owner, stating in a local TV interview, "I just wanted a warm place to sit. No hard feelings." Judge Reynolds' actions had a broader impact. According to court records, he advocated for expanding the Veterans Treatment Court, securing funding to increase its capacity by 20% in 2021. His courtroom gesture inspired other judges in Ohio to prioritize veteran cases, leading to a statewide initiative to identify and assist homeless veterans in the justice system. By 2023, the program had diverted over 300 veterans from incarceration to treatment, earning national recognition from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Jimmy's life transformed in the years following the trial. By 2021, he was sober, attending regular therapy, and working part-time as a mentor at a veteran center. According to his caseworker, he spoke to groups about his experiences, emphasizing resilience and the importance of seeking help. In 2022, he reunited with his estranged sister, Karen, who had lost contact with him during his homeless years. The siblings rebuilt their relationship, with Karen helping Jimmy navigate his new life. The courtroom moment became a touchstone for advocacy. Veterans groups used Jimmy's story to push for policy changes, including increased funding for VA mental health services and housing programs. According to a 2024 VA report, veteran homelessness in Ohio dropped by 15% since 2020, partly due to initiatives sparked by cases like Jimmy's. The Columbus Dispatch followed up annually, chronicling Jimmy's recovery and the broader impact on the community. Judge Reynolds, who retired in 2023, cited Jimmy's case as a career highlight. In a speech at a Veterans Gala, he said, "Recognizing James Thompson reminded us all of our duty to those who served." Jimmy, now living independently, continued to volunteer, often visiting Arlington National Cemetery to pay respects to fallen comrades. His story, born from a moment of adversity, became a beacon of hope, showing that recognition and compassion could restore a hero's dignity. The trial, initially a low point for Jimmy, turned into a catalyst of change. The courtroom standing ovation was more than a gesture. It was a collective acknowledgement of sacrifice and a call to action. Jimmy's name, once forgotten on the streets, became synonymous with resilience, proving that even in the face of hardship, honor endures.